Hi, it's Robbie from Southern California. I've got a question for you. We're in January, and I've noticed something very odd for usually what goes on in nature. I am finding caterpillars this time of the year, and we have been bombarded with thousands of hummingbirds. This started around New Year's, and I'm wondering if we're going to have an early spring because this has been just odd. Normally, we get a lot of hummingbirds in February where they're coming from the south and they're going to get ready to head up north. Because remember, a lot of them will go as far as Alaska. They'll go all the way up there to get the sunlight because they'll have so many hours of daylight compared to a lot of other states. But normally, I don't see this many. I'm going through about 5 gallons of hummingbird nectar I make a day. And that's a lot for this time of the year. And I'm just wondering if you've got the same thing or if you've noticed anything different. Because we're going out and finding monarch caterpillars all of a sudden all over the place. I haven't even seen the monarchs for months, but the eggs might have sat dormant and they started feeding and now they're big. And now I've got thousands of hummingbirds, which is exciting. I mean, I come out here and I can't seem to keep the feeders full. I fill them, I go to do something, I come back and they're empty. And we've got them all over here, all over the deck, in the garden, everywhere. Have you noticed anything different? Another thing we've noticed different this year is we normally have a lot of robins come in. They usually come in around the middle of December and they could stay until the beginning of the year, which means about now they would start to disperse. There has been no flocks of robins around here. The occasional robin, yes. Remember, I think it was about 7, 8 years ago, there was estimated like over 100,000 robins came into the area and they were just staying here. But we found out that there was severe weather down the middle of the United States where they usually kind of head towards. They couldn't get there, so they parked themselves here. And then year after year, there's been less and less, but there has been quite a few that have come through. This year, nothing. We usually see them at night flying around here looking for certain trees. We haven't seen any at all. So I think there's a change. Now the sun's coming out. That's what I'm saying. Yesterday, we were almost 80 degrees in January. Today, we're going to be about 61 to 65. We still are cool at night. So gardening is out because we're 41 degrees at night, which is just too cold for squash or even my ginger and turmeric I have to dig up. Tomatoes are growing because they're getting enough warmth right now during the day, and then they're just doing fine for the night. So they don't mind the cold as much. And of course, the brassicas. If you are growing brassicas and you're not completely under snow, they do really good in the winter. They may not grow as big as they do in the spring, but they still grow. They have no insect problems, or very little, I should say. And if you see a few, just take a hose and wash it off. And they're just so good. And the leaves are so sweet on the collard and kale. So I am coming here more out of curiosity to see you, wherever you are, have you noticed more hummingbirds, less hummingbirds? Maybe you're still under snow. East Coast, you probably won't have them yet. But it's kind of hugging the coast along California. And I'm wondering if you're seeing them when you usually don't see them. As you can probably see, there's a ton of them. And they're all over behind my camera. They're loaded in the trees. And I kind of didn't notice it as much until about a week ago. I saw that the food intake was going way up. And then all of a sudden, I'm trying to get things done around here, and I fill all these feeders, and right here alone, there's over a dozen, not counting what's on the deck down there and what's in the garden, and they're all empty. As fast as I fill them, I turn around and they're not leaking. They're completely empty. So I'm thinking they're getting ready. There's either coming here from the south, moving up here. The possibility is we may have really good weather compared to a lot of places in the United States. They may know that the weather is going to stay fairly good. They're staying here to feed because there's plenty of food. We have a lot of flowers around. And of course, I do my nectar, which is 1/4 of a cup of white granulated sugar and 1 cup of water. Mix well until it's dissolved and you give it out. Just put a little bit in your feeders if you don't have that many hummingbirds, and keep the rest in the fridge for up to about 4 days. And you should be good. But I have noticed that more and more are showing up. So I'm thinking they're staying here because of all the food. And then when the time is right, they may leave. Now remember, last year Their Orioles came in February, which was the first time I'd seen that in years. They usually come around March 15th. The males show up first and then the females follow. But surprisingly, we had them coming in really early. I was a full month early last year, so I don't know what's going to be. I'm trying to protect monarchs. If I find the caterpillars, maybe just drape some tulle around, because I know that we still have a lot of insect eating birds here. They will eat them, and that's what happens to a lot of them. So that's basically it. But it's kind of like things are going great here. I'm thinking about gardening. I know a lot of you are under snow, and gardening is the furthest thing from your mind, except get your seeds. Because when seeds run out, they can't go back in the back room and manufacture more. You may have to wait another year. So seeds are a good thing to look for, unless you know what you're going to grow. I mean, I'm going to grow basically the stuff that we really like, which is really easy to find. It's going to be zucchini and different tomatoes and cucumbers. So it's going to be very easy to find those seeds. I'm not looking for designer plants. I've done it, been there, done that. And most of the designer plants, the fancy ones, you don't get as much of a production out of a lot of them as you would your basic plants. So I'm going to stick with the stuff that I really like, that I grow in a big abundance of, and that I can freeze and have all winter. But I don't know if you can hear them. There's hundreds of them right now. They're in the orange tree. They're in the avocado tree there without the leaves. They're behind you. And I've seen a lot of varieties here. The black chins. I've seen tons of Annas. I've seen Costas here. They're shyer. When they see me, they take off and go into the trees. But they've been here. Of course, the rufus, the pied rufus now we have. And then we've got the Allens here. So we've got a lot of different types of birds here, and they're all showing up. And that could be what they're doing, parking themselves here and waiting until they know it's time to go, and then they're going to take off. I'd love to hear from you. I just is so excited about this. And they bathe early in the morning. I've got to keep the water fountains going. So I've got a lot of them on USB now, where you don't need the sunlight, because the solar ones will only work when the sun is out. And as you can see, the sun is not really out right now, but it comes and goes. And when it's not going, then my fountains won't go. And they absolutely love that. When they know there's running water, even when it's dark, from no sunlight and it's really cool, they still have to bathe. Because if they get sticky with either nectar that they've collected in the trees and like the orange trees, or flowers, they have to wash that off, because if they wipe themselves on their feathers, then they get dust and dirt on them, and it creates too many problems. So they need to bathe multiple times a day. So if you've got them, don't forget to get some fountains for them. If you get fountains, you'll get more hummingbirds. So I'm waiting and excited to hear what you have to tell me. I'm excited to have so many birds, and I'm wondering if there's just going to be more and more, because every day it just seems like there's more and more birds. So with that, have a wonderful day. Leave your comments. I'm going to read through them all. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. Oh, my goodness. I'm surrounded in hummingbirds. Yeah. Oh, that's the camera. You see the camera? Yeah, you see the camera. Right there. See the camera? She says, I don't see anything. Hummingbirds. Look at them. So many hummingbirds.